Ever just sit and wonder what would actually happen if you could travel back in time? I mean, really think about it. It's one of the biggest thought experiments in all of science fiction. And man, it just opens up this huge can of worms about reality, cause and effect, and our place in the universe.
Okay, let's just dive right into the deep end with the question that ties everyone's brain in a knot. This is it, the heart of the grandfather paradox. If you actually succeed, you prevent your own birth. But if you were never born, then who went back in time to do the deed in the first place? So what gives?
And boom, you've just created this inescapable loop, a total contradiction. A science fiction writer named René Barjavel was the first to really lay it out like this way back in 1943. It's called a consistency paradox. And for a long, long time, it's been the #1 argument for why traveling to the past is just flat out impossible.
So, how in the world does physics even begin to try and solve this logical nightmare? Well, let's check out the first major idea. What if the past is just unchangeable? What if the universe itself steps in to stop a paradox from ever happening?
Okay, so in the 1980s, a Russian physicist named Igor Novikov came up with this really elegant solution. Basically, he argued that the laws of physics themselves would make it completely impossible to create a paradox. It's not that you can't try, it's just that the probability of you actually succeeding is literally, mathematically, zero. And that quote right there just nails the core idea. You are totally free to hop in your time machine and go to the past. You can even try to mess things up. But according to this principle, you are absolutely doomed to fail. Every single time. The universe just won't allow it. So you could travel back, you could find your grandpa, take aim, pull the trigger, and click. Nothing. The gun jams. The universe would basically course correct with some crazy, improbable event. A misfire, a faulty bullet, something would stop you. And it doesn't matter how foolproof your plan is. You could try a different way and then, oops, you slip on a conveniently placed banana peel. No matter what you do, some kind of cosmic bad luck or a wild coincidence is always going to get in the way. The universe protects its own timeline. And here is the truly mind-bending part of this whole idea. Your trip to the past, it wasn't a disruption at all. It was always part of history. You showing up doesn't change a thing because your actions were part of what made history happen the way it did in the first place. You're just fulfilling your role.
But okay, that's one possibility. Let's shift gears to a second solution, one that's even more bizarre, and it comes straight from the weird world of quantum mechanics. What if you can change the past, you just can't change your past? So this theory, first dreamt up by physicist Hugh Everett in 1957, says that reality is constantly splitting. Think of it less like a single road and more like a tree with an infinite number of branches. Every possible outcome of every single decision is actually playing out somewhere in this multiverse. And here's how this idea completely dodges the paradox. You don't change your own past at all. Instead, the moment you arrive and change something, you create a brand new parallel timeline that just branches off. So your original timeline, it's perfectly safe, chugging along just as it always was. So let's just put these two ideas side by side for a second. With Novikov, you have one single rock-solid universe that basically forces consistency. But with many worlds, you have an infinite multiverse, where your actions are constantly creating new realities. Your home timeline is safe, but you might be stranded in the new one you just made. Yikes.
You know, this isn't just a fun physics puzzle. When you start exploring these ideas, you're forced to face one of the biggest philosophical questions there is about our own lives. And this is where it gets a little scary. So what do these two completely different theories mean for our ability to actually make choices? This is where the whole thing stops being about science fiction and starts being a very personal question about what it means to be, well, us. Each one gives us a pretty startling picture of what it means to choose. In Novikov's world, our freedom is kind of fenced in by physical laws. We're kind of like actors playing out a script that's already been written. But in the many worlds idea, every single choice is real, and it's so powerful that it literally creates a new universe. Our free will is everything. But maybe it's also a little lonely.
Of course, after all this brain-melting theory, there is a much simpler, more down-to-earth argument against all of this. For all our amazing ideas, we still haven't seen a single shred of proof that time travel is even possible. So in the end, the grandfather paradox is so much more than just a clever riddle. It's a tool, right? A thought experiment that forces us to ask some huge questions about the very nature of time, the way reality is put together, and what it really means to make a choice.